We know the Orange need a quarterback, okay? We get it. They also really need offensive line.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, on this week's Poll Friday, I asked you guys the question, aside from quarterback, today we take a break from talking about quarterbacks. What is the biggest need for the Orange this offseason? It can honestly be transfer portal or recruiting, but signing day has already passed. So really, we're talking about the portal here and the biggest need for the Orange besides quarterback. And folks, in my opinion, it's the offensive line. And you guys agreed with me based on the poll results. And we're going to get to that in a second. I gave you guys 4 choices. Offensive line, which ended up winning. Linebacker, cornerback, right, with Marcellus Barnes entering the portal. Obviously, cornerback became a pretty big need. And I left the 4th option open-ended. I said other for that one. If there's another choice that you have, well, that was your time to vote for that one. Honestly, I think the 3 biggest needs, though, are offensive line, linebacker, and cornerback, with offensive line clearly being the biggest need. There were about 300 votes this week and well over 50%. So the majority of you guys believe that offensive line is the biggest need for this team. And it boils down to who's returning and what's left on the roster. Let's take a look at Syracuse football's offensive line, okay? Let's talk about this, right? Let's discuss it. Who was their center last year? John Ray Reed, right? He was a pretty good center, John Ray Reed. He's out of eligibility, so he's gone. Who were the guards last season for Syracuse? Who were the starting offensive guards? You got Jakob Bradford and Mark Petry. They did a pretty nice job, right? They're out of eligibility. Right tackle, the transfer from Colorado, Savion Washington. He did really well. Out of eligibility. Do you catch my drift here? Let me summarize it for you. We're talking about the offensive line from last season to what's on the roster right now. 4/5 of their offensive line is gone. So they need offensive linemen. Now, for what it's worth, the left tackle position, I guess, remains intact. They got David Woolaba with years of eligibility left. They got Demetrius Weatherspoon with years of eligibility left. Maybe they can shift one of them to right tackle if they so choose. But that's it, really. Even Josh Miller, a backup for Syracuse this season, a backup tackle, he's in the portal. So a hit to the depth, and someone who maybe could have gotten a promotion if they had a good fall camp, good spring ball as well. So when I look at Syracuse's offensive line, I'm not saying they need to add 4 players in the transfer portal. That's not what I'm saying. You could look to promote from within at certain positions. But I think at minimum, they need 2. They need 2 players. Because when I look at the other options in terms of what they need, linebacker is certainly one. But at least you have a veteran like Derek McDonald who has started plenty of games as of right now coming back. When you look at cornerback, again, they definitely need a corner. But at least they got Jaden Bellamy and Davian Kerr coming back. So I wouldn't classify those positions as bigger needs than offensive line. So I'm with you guys on this week's poll. Over 50% of you guys said that aside from quarterback, the biggest need is offensive line, in large part because 4/5 of the starting line from last year is gone. So coming up, fortunately for the Orange and fortunately for us Orange fans, they are targeting at least one offensive lineman that we know of publicly. And you guys can maybe see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. It's Brady Norton. So we're going to talk about him next on the Locked On Syracuse podcast. We've been talking a lot of football here on the Locked On Syracuse podcast, but basketball season's also in full swing. And guess what? There's only one more football game left, and that's the bowl game in San Diego. So really, if you're going to be going to sporting events for Syracuse, it's mostly going to be basketball at this point. Whether it's NBA, college, Syracuse basketball games, they're always typically exciting. And the way I get tickets for games is by using Gametime. Gametime is a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And my favorite feature is the curated deals. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL or anything for that matter, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Let's talk Syracuse football for a moment, right? They're playing in the Holiday Bowl December 27th against Washington State, and it looks as though a lot of the players for Syracuse are going to play. And Kyle McCord announced that he's playing. As a result, the Orange are now 7.5-point favorites to get their 10th win of the season. What do you think of those odds? Well, you can be the judge of that for yourself. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win the first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We've established, based on the fact that most of the offensive line from last season is gone, at least as the starters, that offensive line is the biggest need for the Orange besides quarterback in the transfer portal. And feel free to let me know in the comment section below, agree or disagree. The biggest need for Syracuse in the portal besides quarterback, okay? In my opinion, it's the offensive line. Most of you guys on this week's Poll Friday voted for that as well. A reminder, you can vote on Twitter at @LO_Syracuse and on the Locked On Syracuse YouTube channel in the community section. I post the poll every Monday afternoon, and it usually runs for a few days. Okay. Fortunately for us, there is at least one offensive lineman that they are targeting. I imagine it's more, but one that I know for sure that is public information that you can find. And that is it's Brady Norton from Caly Poly, which is an FCS school. Okay, just hear me out on this. Norton is an interior offensive lineman, so guard or center. He's listed at 6'3", 275 pounds. Now, if he's a guard, for what it's worth, Mark Petry and Jakob Bradford, I looked it up on the Syracuse website, they are both listed over 300 pounds. So ideally, if you get a guy like Brady Norton from Caly Poly, an FCS school, you would want him to put on some more weight to be able to handle the ACC and, I don't know, Tennessee in week 1. How about that, right? And Notre Dame. It's a little bit different than playing at Caly Poly. Now, 24/7 Sports' Mike McAllister, he reported that earlier this week, he's got a visit scheduled with Syracuse, just not sure of the date. And the other schools that are scheduling visits with him are Wake Forest and Virginia. On On3, Norton has listed as the 8th rated interior offensive lineman in the portal. And I believe he's just outside the top 100 overall in the portal. So he's pretty good. He's pretty good. It's easy to look at his profile and say, well, Brady Norton is FCS. So why would we want this kid to be the starter for the Orange? I am open to him playing at the Power 4 level. And here's why. He was dominant at the FCS. Absolutely dominant. Pro Football Focus. It grades players on a scale of 0 to 100, okay? 100 being the best, 0 being the worst. Norton got a 91 grade for his pass protection last season. A 91. That's about as elite as you are going to get. And for what it's worth, he did not allow a single sack in over 700 pass block attempts this season. So, I'm not saying that Brady Norton is going to come to the ACC and be one of the best guards in the conference at all. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I still think he would have to earn the right to be a starter for Syracuse. But what I am saying is he has earned his chance because he dominated the FCS, and his size, I mean, he probably has to put on a little bit more weight, but it's not far off from being a starting guard or a starting center. So bottom line, Syracuse football, you have my stamp of approval. Not that you need it, really. I mean, look, I just talk about, I just give you my opinions. Not that you need it, but you have my stamp of approval. If Syracuse were to go out tomorrow and get Brady Norton, I'd be pretty happy with the move. And as of now, I would pencil him in as a starter for the Orange next season. So Brady Norton from Caly Poly, yes, it is FCS, but he was dominant in the FCS, and I think he has earned the right to at least compete for a starting spot at the Power 4 level. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. On a personal note, last night, the channel hit over 3,000 subscribers. And so I just want to thank all of you for this amazing accomplishment. It truly means the world to me. And my mission overall is to keep providing you all with daily Syracuse sports content. And guys, if you like what you're hearing, if maybe this is your first time watching or listening to this channel, or you may have found this channel because it's the off season and that's typically when it's the most popular time, feel free to hit that subscribe button because guess what? It's completely free and it helps all Syracuse fans find and listen to the channel. So just again, I want to thank you all so much for over 3,000 subscribers here on Locked On Syracuse. As far as what is coming up on the podcast in the future, Syracuse basketball is playing tomorrow. They are playing an old Big East rival. I don't even want to say the school's name because they disgust me, okay? They play at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and there will be a full post-game reaction podcast. And Syracuse basketball, you better win. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. And I will see you all tomorrow for a post-game reaction podcast. Syracuse basketball, you better win.